Vaccines, one of the greatest medical achievements in human history. They have eradicated deadly diseases, saved millions of lives, and continue to protect populations from dangerous outbreaks. But beneath their reputation for safety and effectiveness, a dark cloud of controversy has loomed for decades. Some believe that vaccines are not as safe as the medical establishment claims. The most infamous of these theories? That vaccines cause autism. For years, this idea has ignited heated debates, divided public opinion, and fueled one of the most controversial movements in modern medical history. But where did it all begin? Who stands to benefit from silencing the debate? And most importantly, could there be a hidden truth behind it all? The origins of the Vaccine-Autism conspiracy. The roots of this conspiracy theory can be traced back to 1998 when a British doctor named Andrew Wakefield published a study in The Lancet, a prestigious medical journal. His paper claimed to have found a link between the measles, mumps, and rubella, MMR, vaccine and autism. This claim sent shockwaves through the medical world and struck fear into the hearts of parents everywhere. The study suggested that receiving the MMR vaccine could trigger gastrointestinal issues that somehow contributed to autism spectrum disorder, ASD, in children. News media ran with the story, amplifying the fear. Parents began questioning whether they should vaccinate their children. Celebrities, politicians, and activists entered the fray, either defending vaccines or warning against their dangers. The modern anti-vaccine movement was born. But soon, cracks in Wakefield's study began to emerge. Investigators found that his research had severe ethical violations, conflicts of interest, and outright falsified data. Other scientists could not replicate his findings, and eventually, The Lancet retracted the paper. Wakefield lost his medical license, but the damage had already been done. The idea that vaccines might cause autism had already taken hold in the public consciousness, and it refused to die. The cover-up theory, silencing the truth? Despite overwhelming scientific evidence debunking the link between vaccines and autism, many believe there is an active effort to suppress the truth. They argue that powerful entities, pharmaceutical companies, government agencies, and the medical establishment, are working together to silence whistleblowers and keep the public in the dark. Supporters of this theory point to the billions of dollars that vaccine manufacturers make every year. They suggest that these corporations have deep ties to regulatory agencies like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and the World Health Organization, WHO, making it nearly impossible for any dissenting voices to be heard. If vaccines were proven to cause autism or other severe side effects, the financial and legal repercussions could be catastrophic. One of the most well-known claims of a cover-up comes from Dr. William Thompson, a former CDC scientist. In 2014, he alleged that the CDC intentionally omitted data from a study that suggested African American boys who received the MMR vaccine at an earlier age had a higher risk of autism. His claims were later used in the documentary Vaxxed, produced by none other than Andrew Wakefield. Critics dismissed the allegations as misinterpretations of data, but for many, it only reinforced the idea that something was being hidden. Big Pharma, a motive for deception? At the heart of this theory is the pharmaceutical industry, often accused of prioritizing profits over public health. Many believe that vaccine manufacturers downplay potential risks, exaggerate benefits, and work alongside government agencies to ensure their products remain unquestioned. One argument often cited is the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, NCVIA, of 1986, a U.S. law that granted legal immunity to vaccine manufacturers. This means that if someone suffers a severe reaction to a vaccine, they cannot sue the pharmaceutical company directly. Instead, they must seek compensation from a special government fund. Conspiracy theorists argue that this legal protection allows companies to produce vaccines without being held accountable for potential long-term effects. Another concern is the dramatic increase in the number of vaccines given to children today compared to past generations. Decades ago, children received only a handful of vaccines. Now, the schedule includes dozens of doses before a child reaches the age of 5. Some believe this rapid increase is not just about disease prevention but about maximizing pharmaceutical profits, with autism as an unintended, or even deliberately ignored, consequence. The rise of the anti-vaccine movement. Fueled by growing distrust in Big Pharma, government agencies, and mainstream media, the anti-vaccine movement has gained momentum over the years. Parents began sharing personal stories of children who, they claim, developed autism or other health complications after receiving vaccines. Social media played a significant role in amplifying these stories. Groups dedicated to exposing vaccine dangers sprang up, spreading viral videos, testimonials, and so-called suppressed studies. Influential figures like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and former Playboy model Jenny McCarthy became outspoken critics, arguing that the mainstream medical community was ignoring real cases of vaccine injury. Governments and health organizations fought back, labeling the movement as dangerous misinformation. Tech companies like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter began censoring anti-vaccine content, removing groups and banning accounts that spread harmful medical claims. But for those who believe in the conspiracy, this only made their suspicions stronger. After all, if vaccines were truly safe, why would powerful organizations go to such great lengths to silence debate? The autism epidemic, a question of correlation versus causation. A major factor driving this theory is the undeniable rise in autism diagnoses over the past few decades. In the 1980s, autism was relatively rare, affecting about 1 in 10,000 children. Today, the rate is estimated to be around 1 in 36. Anti-vaccine activists argue that this rise correlates with the increased number of vaccines given to children. However, scientists and medical experts insist that the rise is due to better diagnostic criteria, increased awareness, and broader definitions of autism spectrum disorder. They argue that correlation does not equal causation, and extensive research has shown no causal link between vaccines and autism. Final thoughts: science or suppression? So, does the vaccine-autism conspiracy theory hold any truth? According to mainstream science, the answer is a resounding no. Decades of studies involving millions of children worldwide have found no credible evidence linking vaccines to autism. But for many, the question remains: if vaccines are so safe, why do some children have severe reactions? Why do pharmaceutical companies receive legal immunity? And why are alternative voices so aggressively silenced? Perhaps the greatest fuel for this conspiracy is not the science itself, but the public's growing distrust in institutions that claim to have their best interests at heart. Whether one believes vaccines are completely safe or not, the debate over their effects continues to shape public policy, medical research, and personal health choices. As the battle between science and skepticism rages on, one thing is certain: the vaccine-autism controversy is far from over.